Namaste and good morning everyone. We'll start our class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times to pray for those who are in suffering. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. Till last class we had covered till verse number 27 of Gita. Here Arjuna, realizing his helplessness, his confusion, he surrenders to Lord Krishna and accepts him as Guru, becomes his disciple, and requests Lord Krishna to guide him. We'll look at the verse number 28. So if any of you want to volunteer, please raise your hands for chanting along with me. I can unmute your mic thereafter. Okay, so I'll chant the verse and you can repeat after me in your place. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachhokamuchhoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumavasapatnam ruddham Rajyam Suranam api chadhipatyam. Now the whole verse. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yachhokamuchhoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumavasapatnam ruddham Rajyam Suranam api chadhipatyam. So we'll do the word analysis. First we'll see what type is it. So nahi, it's a indeclinable. Prapashyami is a verb form. Mama is a pronoun. Apanudyat is a verb form. Yat is a nominal pronoun. Shokam is a nominal. Uchoshanam is a nominal. Indriyanam is a nominal. Avapya is indeclinable. Bhuma is nominal. Asapatnam is a nominal. Ruddham is a nominal. Rajyam, Suranam, Api is an indeclinable. Cha is also indeclinable. Adhipatyam is nominal. So this verse, like the previous 4 verses we had been seeing, it is also in the Trishtuk meter. Means there are 11 syllables in each quartet. So for indeclinable, all we have to worry about is the simple meaning. So nahi means not. Generally the strong negative, when it is in the sense of strong negative, you use nahi. Na alone also means not. Prapashyami. So this is a verb form. So we fill up the blue columns here. So that's a lat lakara, first person, singular, verb type is parasmaipadi, and it is para plus drush. So that is the root drush, and pra is the upasarga or the pre-verb. Meaning means to see. So it's a present tense, first singular, first person is I. So I do not see. Nahi prapashyami, I do not see. Mama is a pronoun. It has come earlier also. It's a 6th case. Singular. Gender doesn't apply to the asmad. The base word here is asmad. It is the same in all the genders. And here meaning is my. So I, and because it's a sense of genitive, it means my. So something belonging to me. We'll see what is it. Apanudyat is also a verb. And this is Ashirlinga Lakara. So it's not very commonly used, but in this case, this particular tense is used. So it's a third person, singular, parasmaipadi, and here the word is nud. And also a apanud. So it means to remove or to take away. So Ashirling, generally the meaning itself is also in the sense of Bidiling, but there is a difference here. Difference is, and that this is normally something which I do not hope to get easily. So we'll explain that how does it apply in the sense of this verse. Yat is a nominal pronoun, and here it is used as a nominative case, singular, neuter, and base word is yad, means one which. Shokam is also is an accusative singular neuter, and this is the shoka is the base word, means sorrow or suffering. Uchoshanam. So this is the adjective of this, so it is the same thing, accusative singular neuter. And here also the word is, base word is Uchoshana, because this is the akaranta neuter, and in the second case it will become like shokam, uchoshanam. Uchoshanam means something which dries up the sense organs. So actually sense organs is coming later, so something which dries up. Which dries up or exhausts. Something which exhausts. Indriyanam. So this is sixth. Whenever you see nam or nam, it's a very good indicator that it's a sixth plural. Indriya, sense organs. So of the sense organs, that's what it would mean. Of the sense organs. Avapya is indeclinable, so all we have to have the meaning, means having attained or having obtained, having gained. Bhumau, this is a seventh case, like hari, harau, ikaranta noun, singular, feminine, bhumi. So this is base word is bhumi. And meaning is earth. So on the earth, because it's on, so on the earth. Asapatnam. This is the second case, singular. Sorry. And just like the previous words you saw, it also would mean that it's a akaranta noun, which is the second case is asapatnam. So sapatna is rival, asapatnam is without rivals, without any threats, without any rivals. Ruddham, it is also, they are in the same case, accusative singular neuter, and here the base word is ruddha. Prosperous. Ruddham means prosperous. Rajyam, this is also accusative singular neuter, and the base word here is Rajya, kingdom. Rajya means kingdom. Suranam. So just like Anam you saw here, Ram is here. That tells you that it's a sixth case plural. And here the base word is sura. It's again akaranta. And sura means gods. So it's a sixth case, so of the gods. That means divine beings. Those who are the residents of heaven. Api, it's an indeclinable. So all we have to have the meaning even. Cha means and. Adhipatyam, it's a nominative, singular. Sorry, this would be the accusative, singular, neuter. And it's the same. Adhipatya means sovereignty. So if you look at from a Sanskrit grammar perspective, most of the words are in akaranta, like shokam, uchhoshanam, indriyanam. The base word is all ending in akara. Here in bhumi it's ikaranta, but this, all these are ending in akaranta. So the forms are very similar. And once you know one form of akaranta that is ending in akara, a, short a, you can understand the forms of other related nouns also. So let us see the meaning. So first, if you look at how many verbs we have two. Prapashyami and apanudyat. So prapashyami, this is the first person. That means the subject here is clear. It's aham, even though it's not mentioned here explicitly. So nahi prapashyami, I do not see. So what I do not see? So this is, remember, Arjuna's statement now to Lord Krishna. So after he has said that I surrender to you, I am your disciple, please guide me towards what is good for me. That is the next verse he is saying. So what he is saying here is, what I do not see. What is he referring to? What he does not see? So this is a relative clause here. Yat, shokam, one which. So there should be ideally a word tat for the correlative clause. But here because of the poem, they have not explicitly mentioned, but it's kind of understood. And that's what I have put it in the Anvaya also. Tat. Tat nahi prapashyami. This tat. That I do not see. So I do not see that. One which. So what I do not see. So yat. So what Arjuna is saying, there is something related to this clause, yat. Something which. And that I do not see. So what is it that he does not see? So this is the verb. So yat becomes the subject here. It's in the nominative singular. So one which would remove apanudyat, to remove, to take away. So one which would remove. He does not see something which will remove. What? Remove what? So shokam, his sorrow. So he does not see something which would remove his sorrow or suffering. And what kind of sorrow it is? Uchhoshanam indriyanam. This is the adjective to shokam because it is in the same. So indriyanam, sense organs. So one which is drying up, which exhausts his sense organs. That kind of sorrow. So he does not see that which will take away, which will remove his sorrow, the kind of sorrow he is having, kind of suffering that is exhausting or drying up his sense organs. Then he is saying, even if api avapya, having obtained on the earth, so this is the locative, bhumi is earth, on the earth, a kingdom. So even if he attains a kingdom, what kind of kingdom it is? One which is prosperous, ruddham. Another quality of kingdom is asapatnam, without rivals. If he attains a kingdom on the earth which is prosperous and which is without any rival, internal or external, no competition, no threat. These days, one of the major sufferings for a king is that they are always under the threat of some internal conspiracy or some external threats. He is saying asapatnam, without any rivals, either internally or externally. Not only that, even if he attains the sovereignty of the gods, so having attained a kingdom on earth, the kingdom which is prosperous, which is without rivals, and also the sovereignty of the gods as well, even if he attains that, he does not see that which will remove his sorrow. So the whole idea what he is referring to is that, look, this war we are trying to fight, for what? For gaining the kingdom, for gaining some kingdom on the earth. If I consider the best success for us, that we won so thoroughly and after that we do not have any rivals for the kingdom which we win, and kingdom remains, remember, war depletes the resources of a kingdom, and he says even if we win in such a manner that the kingdom remains prosperous and kingdom doesn't have any rivals, like there is no external or internal threats. If I attain such a kingdom on the earth, which is the highest I can hope to gain from this war, even then I do not see that which will remove this sorrow of mine. And he says, not only that, forget the kingdom on the earth. I am very clear that even if I attain the kingdom of heaven, sovereignty of gods means kingdom of heaven. So not only the kingdom of the whole earth, but even if I attain the kingdom of heaven, even then I do not see that which will remove my sorrow. So that's a statement of Arjuna to Lord Krishna. Now I told you that here the tense we are using, it's an ashirling. It's a benedictive. We say benedictive, but in Sanskrit it normally is used when you are referring to something which is very difficult to attain. So Arjuna is seeing his sorrow in those terms, that it is a desirable thing. It's something that is desirable but not easy to attain, very difficult to attain. Something which cannot happen now, something might happen in future, or something may happen with great difficulty. In that sense, this particular tense is used. So that's what Arjuna is referring to, that he does not see anything which will remove his sorrow. So that's a very interesting development if you look at. In the first chapter of Gita, when both armies have gathered together to fight the war, Arjuna himself requests Lord Krishna that please take my chariot between both the armies so that I can see whom I am supposed to fight with, who all have gathered to help that fellow called Duryodhana, and I have to fight with them. So I want to see that. I want to have a look before the war starts. Even though he knew, the kind of warriors, all the famous names, he already knew. The preparation had been going on for some time. But he, as a warrior, he just wanted to take a look at them finally before the war starts. So Lord Krishna, as he was working as his charioteer, he promptly follows Arjuna's command and takes the chariot and puts it in between both the armies. The one thing which Lord Krishna does here, when he places the chariot between both the armies as Arjuna requested, he places the chariot where Bhishma and Drona, they are stationed. And when Arjuna looks at them, he realizes that what he is supposed to do in this war, he is supposed to be killing them, those people whom he loved dearer than his life, his own gurus. He had tremendous love for them, his elders. And that brought within him pent up emotions regarding this whole meaninglessness of the war, and that there is no point because we have to kill the very same people whom we love. So this is where the Lord Krishna, if he would have taken the chariot and placed in front of Duryodhana and Dushasana, the people whom Arjuna really didn't have much love for, then Arjuna wouldn't have gotten, he would have probably started the war even a minute earlier. But here what happened, Lord Krishna placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. So that's what the verse in Gita says, Bhishma Drona Pramukhta, where Bhishma and Drona, they are stationed. That's where between the two armies, Lord Krishna placed the chariot of Arjuna. So then Arjuna gets into that, we are getting into this war. So he starts feeling this depression, lamentation, sorrow, that what is it? It was not truly a case of vairagya. Even though he was taking it that there's no point in fighting the war, what was happening which he did not recognize at that time, that was his delusion, was his attachment to the things which was causing him to neglect his duty, rather than a true sense of vairagya, the dispassion or detachment. But sometimes that's what happens in our life. A negative tendency comes in the form of a positive tendency, and that becomes very difficult to recognize and difficult to remove. Here Arjuna did not see that what he is committing is a dereliction of duty, which is an adharma. What he thought was that he was contributing towards non-violence, towards peace, and towards not killing the near and dear ones. And he said, I am even ready to take a lifestyle to beg. So first Arjuna, when he sees his condition, he clearly sees that he is in suffering. He blames sort of Duryodhana, that Durbuddhe. In the first chapter, he refers to Duryodhana as Durbuddhi, that one who is having his intellect very negative intellect, that his cousin Duryodhana, who was the chief of the other side, that because of him, we are in this trouble. If it were not because of him, we would have gotten our kingdom peacefully and there would have been no war. Technically, this is correct. Arjuna was right that war wouldn't have been there if Duryodhana wouldn't have been so wicked-minded. But the thing is this, that we always first try to blame someone for our own sorrow and suffering. We may be right in the factual things of the terms, but in a spiritual sense, I alone am responsible for my own suffering. There is some element within me which is causing me to suffer. So first Arjuna has this tendency to blame Duryodhana for this miserable circumstances which he finds himself in, that he has to kill his gurus and his dear ones in this war. And all that was not truly a surprise for Arjuna. Remember, he had been preparing for the war. He knew exactly who are going to be the warriors on the other side. But when he saw in that moment, that thing really dawned upon him that what he is getting into. And then after he has a lot of logic and other things that why the war is not good, he drops his bow and arrow and sits down dejected in the chariot. He does not tell Lord Krishna that, look, take my chariot away, I don't want to fight. So in some way Arjuna had some idea that what he is doing, not fighting the war, may not be the best thing, may not be the absolutely right thing, even though he was inclined towards that course of action, that we should not be fighting this war. It only means destruction of the near and dear ones. And he gives a lot of other logic also. But so then Lord Krishna tells him that what weakness has come upon you, get up and fight. So all the arguments, all the logic which Arjuna gave, Lord Krishna just dismissed in two verses we saw in 2.2 and 2.3. It was pretty strong scolding that where has this delusion come upon you from? It's not practiced by noble people. It does not lead one to heaven and it does not cause glory. And in 2.3, he even says that give up this, do not yield to this unmanliness. Arjuna was never the one who would run away from a difficult situation. He was considered a very, very strong warrior. There were hardly 2 or 3 people in whole of the country at that time who could face him in the war. So Arjuna was not definitely an ordinary person, and he could not be accused of cowardliness. So after this statement from Lord Krishna, first Arjuna tries to defend his instance, saying that how will I fight back Bhishma and Drona in the battle with the arrows? These are actually worthy of worship. Then slowly, and then he gives further argument that it's better to eat even the alms in this world rather than enjoy the things which are stained with their blood. Then then an interesting development is happening, as you see slowly. He realizes his confusion now, that we do not know what is preferable for us, what is good for us, to fight or not to fight. Nor do we know whether we shall win or they shall win. Those very persons on Dhritarashtra's side we have to kill, after killing whom we do not even wish to live. So they are standing in our front. So here he is, so far his mind was that not fighting the war is a better option, even if it means to go for the life of begging. Here at least he comes to the terms that both may be equal, after Lord Krishna said, but we do not know which one is preferable for us. So he realizes his confusion. And it's in the 7th verse where he really understands that his suffering is because of his own cause, not because brought by someone else. And that is something, a very fundamental realization dawns upon him, that the whole suffering is because he is deluded with regard to duty. I do not know what is the right thing to do. And therefore he asks, so he realizes that it's not situation based. His suffering is not really based upon the situation, even though the situation has brought it about. But it is something much deeper. And it is this sense of confusion, sense of delusion, that I do not know what is the right thing to do. I cannot as if use my intellect. I have become miser I have been overcome by the miserliness of my intellect, my knowledge. So here he basically says that whatever is good for me, whatever is better for me, decidedly you tell me, in a very certain manner, you tell me what is it, what is good for me. I am your disciple, and I take refuge in you. So with this verse, as you see, the transformation of Arjuna to find the blame in the situation, in the person who started the situation, to realize that it is definitely something, my own inner weakness, and something which is not simply situation based. There, once he realizes that, then only can he become a disciple. Because if I feel that the problem is other, then no matter how you can tell me what is good to do, it will not help me. It will not help my situation. Some person can help me by teaching. He's saying that, please tell me, Bruhi, please tell me that what is good for me. He is not saying that you go ahead and kill all the evil people on the other side and that will take care of it or change their minds. Because Lord Krishna was Lord Incarnation, he could have requested him that just change the mind of Duryodhana and we will not have war. But here Arjuna realizes that this situation will come sometime or the other, in some way or the other. It is something very fundamental to his own thing that he does not understand that what is it that is necessarily the right thing to do. And that's where, if you see how Gita merges into our lives, our life situation is very different from that of Arjuna. We are not involved in a battle, in the physical battle. Generally speaking, we do not find ourselves in a situation where our duty demands that we kill our near and dear ones. We are also removed from Arjuna by thousands of years in time. Yet Gita is relevant today for us, no matter what our situation is. And that is precisely because of this reason, that we have the same fundamental problems. That for my suffering, first I try to find the fault outside. Once that happens, that I understand that it is something is lacking in me, I can look for the right instructions. And therefore Gita is applicable to human being, any human being for that matter, on the earth, no matter which place, which time, what profession, what situation one is in. because that part is common. Then he also realizes something which is so amazing, that this sorrow which he is experiencing is nothing to relate it to whether he will win or lose. Remember in 2.6, verse number 2.6, he is saying that we do not know whether we shall win or whether they will conquer us. So there is always an uncertainty in the war. So if we are fighting and we have to kill our gurus and near and dear ones, and even after that there is an uncertainty whether we will win or they will win. Here he realizes that that has nothing to do with his sorrow. That uncertainty which is inherent in any war, that is not the main point of his sorrow. And here he understands that even if I attain the kingdom, the whole kingdom on this earth, which we are fighting, the best possible outcome, and that kingdom is prosperous, that kingdom is without rivals. Not only that, even if I attain the sovereignty over gods also, I do not see that which will remove my sorrow. So that indicates the maturity of Arjuna. So he starts in a certain frame of mind, and then he comes to this understanding that I must understand what is really good for me, and that alone will remove this sorrow, not gaining this kingdom, not even gaining the kingdom of heaven. So there means he understands that there is nothing outside gain or loss which is cause for his real sorrow or pain or even comfort. It's something that the confusion, the delusion which he is having, until that is removed, he will not attain. And therefore he takes the discipleship of Lord Krishna. That's the main thing. So let me take the questions. There are some questions. There is a question, Adhipatya means sovereignty and heaven as well. No, it does not mean heaven. It says sovereignty over what? Suranam Rajyam. So Surana means gods. So Suranam, sovereignty over gods, that means the kingdom of heaven. So in India, the heaven is not considered the highest aim. It is considered that there are some divine beings. It is their abode. So if I attain the sovereignty over gods, means kingdom of heaven, there is a king of heaven called Indra. So Arjuna is referring to that position, that even if I attain that kind of position, which is considered very exalted, I do not see this sorrow will go away. So there is a question, what caused Arjuna to realize that he is responsible for his own delusion? That's what his maturity was. That he and second thing was his faith in Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna tells him, that scolds him in verse number 2 and 3, that where has this thing come upon you? Where has this delusion come upon you, this unmanliness? Then it becomes very clear that he is thinking something which is not really on the right lines. And because of his maturity and always adhering to the life of dharma in his life, he could see that it is his own thing which he is responsible for, is the sorrow which he is facing. There is a question here, isn't there a war going on inside us, even though there is no physical war like what Arjuna has to deal with? So I told earlier also that Bhagavad-Gita can be understood in different ways. One way is that you understand that it is a part of the history, and that's how the tradition in India, Indian tradition understands it, that it's a part of history. It's called itihasa, which means history. So that means this thing happened, and we can learn from that angle as well. There is a metaphorical angle, that Pandavas are the good tendencies, Kauravas, the other side, are the negative tendencies, and this fight is going on within us, within every one of us, and that is also a fight of Mahabharata. So that is a metaphorical way to understand, and that's also very beautiful, and it can be understood that way also. Arjuna, there are many words, and particularly if you listen to Guruji's recordings, he has gone into this explanation of metaphorical very beautifully, and also taking the aspects of Kriya Yoga, that which character represents which aspect. So we will not go into detail of that. You can listen to his talks later on. But that's the idea, that it can be understood in both the planes, metaphorical as well as the historical plane. Okay, there is a question. What does pra added to the verb means? So we have this word prapashyami here. Prapashyami. So pra means praklushtena, means clearly see, very clearly see. So that's what it means. Pra generally refers to in that sense. So praklushtena pashyami, clearly, very clearly see. So it's not like seeing of any object. Here what he is saying, nahi prapashyami, means he's not talking about any object in particular which he's seeing by the eyes, but it's more like he's seeing by his intellect, or not able to see. Like in English also we use in the same way this verb see. So it is used in that sense. There is a question here on the matter of duty. Can we ask what exactly is Arjuna's duty here? Is it towards his extended family to protect his people, country, or it is his duty towards gods, those who has created the caste of Kshatriya in order to fight for them? So the question of duty is precisely what Arjuna is confused about, and that's where he uses this word, that I do not understand that part. You see, one whose mind is deluded in regard to duty, that's the adjective he's referring to himself. Dharma sammudha chetaha. He's referring that his mind is deluded in regards to duty. So that's the main confusion he's going through, that he does not understand what is his duty. And he requests Lord Krishna to tell him, not just in the sense that do this, that Lord Krishna has already told him, but there is something which is more fundamental, which gives that clarity, because of which one will not get into the delusion. So that's where it comes to. So there's a question on this debate. Arjuna's only attachment is towards his own consciousness. He just does not want to become a murderer. I'm not sure if I understand your comment here, because anytime one always gets into the situation that I do not know, there's a lack of clarity, there's a delusion regarding what is the right thing to do. So there is a question here, but what exactly causes Arjuna to surrender and become a disciple? Where exactly does Arjuna realize that it is his own flaw that causes his dejection? So that is the progression. If you look at after Lord Krishna spoke in verse 2.2 up and 2.3, as I explained, if you read the verse 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, that's where this succession is there, that he slowly first tries to just be reactive, that how can I kill Bhishma and Drona, and then he kind of considers that, okay, what Lord is saying to perform the duty of fighting versus my desire to not fight, both are kind of equal options. And then he realizes it's his confusion, which is the main problem. So if you, that's where we explain in the verse from 2 to 4, 2:4 to 6, that he realizes that part. And finally in 2:7, he understands it very clearly and surrenders to Lord. So there is a question, is pranashyati also using pra prefix in the same way? Yes, pranashyati also uses the pra prefix in the same way. There is a question here. Here I think Arjuna is entitled to say this is not my war. I think there is a problem here. You are not understanding that he is deluded about it. He cannot say that he understands that the delusion is the main problem. How can you say when one is deluded that he can say this or he can say that? The very fact delusion means that he cannot say anything with the certainty. The delusion is the problem, not the war. There is a question here. Arjuna chose to fight battle, but Gandhiji chose ahimsa. Were they both right and performing dharma? I cannot comment about other people. Remember, Gita is not for evaluating other people. It is for us. It is for oneself. When I study Gita, do I get enough clarity about that I am performing my own dharma? It is not to evaluate whether other person is performing his own dharma or not. There is a question here. Namaste Baba. Why Lord Krishna not advised Pandavas in the beginning only when they were playing Chaucer not to play? Sorry if the question is little off the track. It's off the track in the sense that it's a story in Mahabharata and it's pretty detailed. I'll just give you a little bit. Lord Krishna, when he comes to know that Pandavas were playing in the gambling and lost everything and are exiled as a result of that, he comes to them and he says, I was too busy with the war. There was another person who had attacked Dwarika and Lord Krishna was very busy, and he says, otherwise I would have come and not let that play happen at all. So there is a beautiful story, and as I said, if you want to know Mahabharata story in detail before the war starts, there is a book by Guruji which you can read, and it is of course a very, very long story. So there is a question, is Arjuna's duty to fight because he is a Kshatriya? So duty is to fight because he is a Kshatriya. That is one aspect of it. Another aspect, it's the Gita starts with the first verse, Dharma Yuddha. This is the war for righteousness. So for a Kshatriya, that is a duty to fight any war which is for the sake of righteousness. So that was the division, caste division earlier in India. In that sense, it's Arjuna's duty. But here the main problem is that Arjuna is deluded about his duty. And the delusion is what is he wants to get rid of, because that's what he understands is the main problem. War and fighting is not the problem. He has fought wars all along his life, many, many wars. So there is a question, is it also our duty to fight Dharma Yuddha within? Of course. I mean, it is our, look, anytime there is a war going on, the war per se is not the problem. The delusion per se is the main problem. And that is what is causing the internal war actually. External war may still happen, but internal war, inner war, what we talk about, it's only caused because of delusion. So that's where Arjuna requests Lord Krishna that tell me clearly what is good for me. And this is the beautiful part, that Arjuna also understands that this will not go away. So when we get into the difficulty, normally we try to acquire something that will take away my sorrow if I get this thing. Arjuna understood here very clearly that even if he attains this kingdom thoroughly, as well as even the kingdom of heaven, it is not going to remove his sorrow. So he understood his sorrow was because of delusion rather than the situation he found himself in. So once you understand that part, that Gita can be applicable in all the situation only when there is something which it is addressing, which is independent of the situation. And that's what the point I wanted to emphasize here, that the delusion part is common to us all. It's independent of the situation. It may have manifestation in different situations differently, but that is the main thing, that it is independent of the situation. So that's where Gita is applicable to us. So with this, there are no more questions. So today, next we'll cover the different verses, following verses. But I just wanted to today give you a sort of an idea that why is Gita still applicable to all of us, despite we are not in the same situation as Arjuna was. So let us close the class with the prayers. Today, good thing is a couple of minutes earlier. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.